Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another content of Mr. Da Informationals. Have it ever come into your mind? Whether if you're an introvert or an extrovert, have you been in a situation wherein you felt like you wanted your own space of time? Or are you more on an outdoor fun experience type of person? Well, in this video we are going to tackle some of the traits that introvert and extrovert possess. And we will also identify the great effects having such traits of being introvert or extrovert. We will be covering those qualities for you to find out what type of personality do you acquire. So without much further ado, let's get right into it. Let us first tackle the personalities of an extrovert. So what are the different personalities of an extrovert person? The very first and well-known trait of an extrovert is that extroverts are known to be outgoing, and they love to be in company with other people such as their friends, family, or neighbors, and even some strangers that they felt comfortable to talk with. This social nature of an extrovert person helps them develop a wide network of connections that they can depend on and ask for help and have fun with. Being outgoing with other people also makes them more confident of themselves and creates a greater bond and understanding on how to connect with their social environment. One great aspect also of having an outgoing personality and being able to connect to other people is the ability to communicate with those people around you. And extroverts are excellent communicators. They can easily blend in within a conversation since they are very expressive. And before we forget to tell it, extroverts also enjoys the spotlight wherein they recharge themselves by expressing more about what is deep inside their minds and what they have to say. Another thing to point out that extroverts tend to make their decisions easily and they do not think too much about it. Extroverts are way more practical and action-oriented people. Although extroverts have those great quality of traits, there is always a downside to everything. Because of their social nature, extroverts are easily distracted and they lose focus on the things about them. For instance, when they seek to have a day for studying or pampering themselves alone, and unknowingly a friend called him or her to a dinner night out. Because of that invitation, of course, they are more willing to spend the time having fun so that the energy stored within them is all burst up. And this case leads them to lose out of track to his or her intention to have a study or learning session by his or herself. Now that you have a clear view of some traits that an extrovert person possessed, let us now move on to the traits that the introverts have and find out if some of those traits are what you possessed. When we say introverts, the very first thing that comes into mind is that they are the typical shy type of person. So what are some traits that an introvert possess? Introverts, as what we thought of being shy, may not be actually shy. They are just being reserved and they like to keep it quiet. Especially if they have just met a certain person whom they not know well yet. Introverts, as opposed to extroverts, find it self-gratifying being alone with themselves. They do not associate much of their energy by socializing too much of their time into parties and other kinds of social events. Introverts love to have a time for themselves alone. They also enjoy spending their time with some close friends and find it much relaxing with just a little company than having a large crowd around. After a long hour days of work and energy spent, introverts recharge themselves by spending some time alone doing their favorite stuff and watching their favorite movies. It helps them to think more and keep them more creative when they are relaxed and have the time alone with their own personal space. Introverts also are thoughtful and would rather think before they do something. While this seems to be an advantage of their part, the drawback of being an introvert is that they are more easily distracted as compared to extroverts, since they think well by being alone in the environment they are around, and this could literally break their inner focus. Another thing to point out is that introverts could get lost easily by their thoughts. Sometimes they fail to focus on what is in the real world. But did you know that a person can have both qualities of an introvert and extrovert? This type of people are called ambiverts, through which they possess the personalities of both an extrovert and introvert. So what really does an ambivert exhibits? Ambiverts are in between of being an introvert and extrovert. They can show a quality which they can be quiet at some time and speak to some people when needed to. They are the type people who can adapt in their environment so easily. Depends on what they think that their actions needed to display. So in general statement, ambiverts is likely in between introversion or extroversion. There is also a person, what we called as omnivert. This type of person can drastically transform from being a totally introverted person to an extroverted person. This depends on the situation and also the people that they associate themselves with. Omniverts' personality depends more on their mood as they go along their social aspects in life. They can be in a situation where an overwhelming social interaction is present, which at some point they can go all the way to being introverts, especially if they are not enjoying the conversation around that social environment. Also, when they are lonely at some point, they can also feel like they want to hang out with some friends to go outdoors and have fun. So basically, omniverts are people depends on their moods and can be fully extroverted one day and introverted on the next day. There is no in between. We have just finished tackling the types and qualities that a certain person possess. We hope that you have clear view about the personalities that you have. And we also hope that you develop yourself on becoming the real you and not what the other people wants you to be. Remember that it is not bad to be a total introvert or an extrovert. You have the total free will to decide what traits you are going to exhibit as long as you don't hurt other people's feelings. Also keep in mind that a little change won't hurt. So if you feel like that your being introversion causes you to be more out of place and keeping you away from what you wanted to be, well, you can try to develop a sense of extroversion. And surely it might felt awkward at the first practices, but you can develop those traits as you go along the way. Sometimes you need to evolve in order to go along in life, especially there are some types of jobs that needs critical thinking, and there are also those type of jobs that needs social interactions. So basically those two traits are always present in our everyday lives. So try to live with it and don't try to avoid it. Lastly, always remember that there is no real division of personalities. There is just you and me in this world. Keep your identity, and it will define the real version of yourself. It was a great time having you here. If you find this video helpful to you, please give it a thumbs up. And we would be glad to connect more to you in creating more of this kind of videos. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that every time we have a new upload you will be notified right away. Till next time, Mr. Ifix.